Welcome to Ren Behind the Practice. I'm Sophie Campisi. I'm a holistic business strategist, and I spend a lot of my time in conversation with practitioners, coaches, and healers about the behind the scenes of their businesses. What I started noticing is that some of the most honest, important conversations about building a practice were happening quietly, one-on-one, behind the scenes, and often in isolation. Most practitioners are incredibly skilled at the work they do with their clients, but very few of us were ever taught or trained in how to build a successful startup business. And suddenly we've been left to figure it out on our own. This podcast exists to bring those conversations forward, the dreams, the uncertainty, the highs and lows, the recalibrations, and the messy middle. My hope is that by normalizing these conversations, we can soften the stigma, feel less alone, and start closing the gaps together. Today's guest is Cordelia Sidijaya. Cordelia is a registered nurse, holistic gut health specialist, longevity practitioner, and holistic health and mindset coach. She is also the founder of Core Coaching. With a strong clinical background in conventional medicine and advanced training in functional, neurometabolic, and longevity-focused care, she brings a customized, systems-based root cause approach to holistic health. Cordelia, it's great to have you here. Thank you so much for showing up and having this conversation with me.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me, Sophie.
Before we look behind the scenes today, can you share with us a little bit more about the work that you do?
Yes. So I help men and women who are just tired of Band-Aid solutions address the root causes to their chronic symptoms or chronic pain. And I help them either get off of their medications, put an end to those chronic symptoms, and find so that they can finally feel good in their bodies again. And I do that by addressing the root cause and using a customized holistic approach for their unique body.
So is the main way that you work with people one-on-one?
It is the main way, but I also do group coaching as well.
And is it mostly virtual?
It's mostly virtual. I've had clients as far as New Zealand, all over the US, but I do have some local clients where I'll meet at the beach or a coffee shop and things like that. Yes.
When was it that you, or how long ago was it that you switched from traditional nursing into taking this holistic approach?
Yeah, great question. I started my career in healthcare in 2011. And then in 2018, I got so sick to where I was nearly bedridden and I saw 25 specialists in 1 year and I got nowhere with the treatment that was provided to me. And luckily, when I was at the end of just, oh my gosh, this is my new normal, and I luckily found holistic and integrative medicine, which allowed me to cure an incurable disease and get my life back. And so I know firsthand what it's like having my whole career in conventional Western medicine and seeing that it was just managing and suppressing symptoms and it wasn't actually addressing the root cause when my life took that turn.
Did you ever go back into nursing after that?
Yeah, I am still a registered nurse today, and I actually teach nursing students in clinical practice today. I did go back at the bedside for another few years until I injured my back lifting a 400-pound patient, unfortunately, in 2021. But that was just a blessing in disguise because it got me to really sit with my pain. I realized like there was a part of me that used to detach and just numb out hard stressors in life. And it really forced me to sit with the pain in my body and actually listen to my body. And that's what birthed my business, actually.
When you look ahead to the next 6 to 12 months, what goals do you have for your work and for your business?
Yeah, my goal is to just make a bigger impact. I've helped men and women, either get off of their blood pressure meds, their antidepressant, their anti-anxiety meds, reverse psoriasis, rosacea, other chronic autoimmune conditions. And my goal is to just to make a bigger impact and uh, just put holistic health in the spotlight where it belongs so people know that there are other choices out there for them, that they don't have to settle for whatever disease or chronic symptoms they have as their new normal.
The clients that you have now, the clients that you've gotten specifically for your holistic health practice and business, where have you connected with those?
Yeah, I've tried everything from social media, but I majority of my clients have come from in-person events and also hosting monthly webinars.
And do they typically come for a specific thing? So, like when you're doing those webinars, are you, connecting with people who have autoimmune or chronic something? Is there like a specific thing that has people come seek you out when you see them at an in-person event or come to your webinars?
Yes, I've done lots of different talks, whether it be on one of my most common webinars is the gut health masterclass. I've done one on how stress makes you sick and just in conversations about longevity. And so people come to me usually because they have all of these gut issues, but they don't realize how it's affecting their sleep and their hormones and their mindset and their overall mood. And then they don't realize that they actually even signed up for this spiritual journey where they get to transform many other things along the way.
Totally. So going back now to that goal of increasing your impact, gaining more consistent, steady client flow, what do you feel like you need to do to get there?
Yes, I right now I am focusing on, I just recently became the president of the Santa Cruz Holistic Chamber of Commerce. I took over leadership the beginning of this year. And so my goal is to just create this container that supports other holistic practitioners so that we can collectively make a bigger impact. But I also am starting collaboration with certain practitioners. We're doing retreats this year. And so, yeah, that's my goal is to just find together we're stronger collectively and put holistic health in the spotlight where it belongs.
What feels hardest about getting to that next stage? So you mentioned doing some partnerships and collaborations and doing more in-person events. What feels hardest about putting those things into action specifically, or just to get to this next stage or phase of your business?
I think that the hardest part of just being a solopreneur is, for one, I'm very confident in my process and my methodology. But becoming a business owner, nobody tells you that you have to be a sales specialist and a marketing specialist. And to try to do it all and become an influencer and learn how to be an influencer and try to be consistent with that, that it just is a full-time job outside of your full-time job. And I really just want to focus on the part I love the most, which is the coaching and the support and accountability part.
Yeah, this is obviously one of the biggest problems and one of the biggest things that I hear from people and relate to myself. It actually is too much. It simply is. It's too much to wear all of the hats. Solopreneurship in today's world is, I'm not sure if, not that it's not possible, but to really run the business in a way that is meeting today's consumer where they are and is really thriving and having the different layers of our businesses like we are, right? We're very dynamic practitioners that we don't fit a one size fits all. Our work is, we need some tiers to it, and maybe it's in person and maybe it's online, and we have a couple of variations of how we want to work. Solopreneurship, it doesn't actually, it's not realistic, especially because, and this comes up so much with the people that I talk to, and you get this firsthand from your personal health stuff, which most of us have had. I myself had chronic migraine, and most of us have had at some point some variation of burnout and nervous system, all of the things. We are meant to be the way showers. Like we can't toss to the side or neglect our health and our well-being and our relationships and our peace because we're entrepreneurs and because we're solopreneurs. So it's like, how do we balance all of that? Like you said, it's a full-time job on top of a full-time job, on top of we're meant to be way showers for living really well lives.
Yeah.
It's a problem. And I think that's part of why we're all here and having these conversations. It's part of why I'm here. And hopefully, if I'm able to do anything about it, I hope that I can, because the more that I study and learn about the strategy and the business principles that are vital that we can't bypass, and understand and study about what the data and the research is saying about today's consumer and what they are not just expecting from businesses and service providers, but just the way that their behavior is, and what does it take for us to build trust in 2026 in today's world, in today's landscape. When I look at all of that, I'm like, we're doing all this alone.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then when they're like, oh, just hire a team, it's like, oh, I can't wait to get to that place where, I've done the okay, purchase this $30,000 business program and we promise you that you're gonna be successful after. And I've done a couple of those and tried this and that. And I've realized, like, okay, I need to believe in myself more, that I do know that I have been successful, that I do know sales and marketing, and I don't have to be like the top influencer and be on social media every day and post a couple times every day in order to be successful.
Yeah, it truly isn't possible. And like you said, people will say, hire some people and you'd like to get there, but not all of us even want to get there. Some of us will, but some of us just want to run really solid practices, solo practices. And there's something to that, what gives and what's going to give. And, again, I don't have all of the answers right now. I hope I can continue piecing some of these things together. But it's overwhelming isn't even really like a word to fully describe like what it is.
Yeah. And you said something that really resonated with me earlier, of just like burnout, when we're supposed to be that, role model. And while we're trying to run our business and we're going through these growing pains and doing things that we've never done before and trying to do all of the things that no one really tells you in order to become a business owner on top of the practice that you run.
Yeah, and the old way of doing it is burnout. The old way of doing it is go, 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 keep going. You're an entrepreneur. You have to keep going. You need to do more and you have to put all this time and energy in, and your health is going to go out the window, and your relationships and your finances and your people maybe aren't going to like you because it's going to affect, your mood and, all these things. That is the old way of doing it. And those things don't work for us. And I think this is part of the conundrum. And I think it's part of why collectively we aren't thriving in our businesses, not in a bad way, not because anyone's wrong, but I think that's, again, part of why I'm having these conversations on this podcast, to acknowledge it. We know that we have to acknowledge things first before we can start making change and before we can make real change. And I think that is what we're starting with, and being honest about the things that aren't working is going to open up the space and clear the space for all of us. And then especially someone like me who's like, this is my role, this is the part that I'm playing in all of this, to start connecting the dots and to start actually figuring out, how do we do it differently? Like, how do we do it differently? Because we can't all keep recreating the wheel.
Mhm.
We won't make it. And we aren't. Like, we won't make it. And even if every single one of us right now was thriving in our business, every single one of us who is already a holistic practitioner, coach, healer, was thriving in our business, we still wouldn't be able to meet the demand So, like, we really have to start somewhere and get it going because there is so much need, and the people that we are here in this lifetime to serve and support and to be way showers for need us.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
What else feels unclear or uncertain?
Yes, I just I've what I've realized on this journey is being a business owner is like one of the for me one of the most challenging journeys for personal growth and self-development. It really shines a spotlight on all of your limiting beliefs, and mindset is a big part. And we're currently being put outside of our comfort zones. We constantly have to become someone we've never been before, and while we're learning along the way. And so I've just really delved deep into, being a mindset coach. I've delved deep into like, oh, what are my inherited limiting beliefs? What are my subconscious blocks that are holding me back? And what are the stories I'm telling myself about why is this hard, or why I don't want to do that, or why do I have to work so hard in order to be successful?
Totally. I think it's not talked about nearly enough, and it's come up in several of my conversations here that entrepreneurship is one of the avenues of rapid and accelerated transformation. We all have already committed to a path of transformation. So then you add in entrepreneurship, and it's like the double whammy. And a lot of us who are parents going through, having kids too, then we have that. And some of us who are explore psychedelics, and you add on that, it's like we're getting layered on with these things that accelerate transformation. And it's a lot. Entrepreneurship is absolutely exactly what you described. It is one of the things that is going to put us through the meat grinder and break us down so that we can continue to transform and put it back together and figure it out. And it's so deep.
It is.
Is there anything else that you want to add about that?
I as much as it feels like it's constantly growing pains, it's been the most rewarding and fulfilling journey, and it continues to be. And there's times where you maybe hit that burnout and you're like, okay, I need to take a moment and reset myself, because this is not a destination. This is a marathon. And it's like, also, you have to be the one that is holding yourself accountable. It's not like, you have a boss that's going to hold you accountable. So it's just an ongoing and it's just an ongoing process. And I've just realized, like, I think what's most important is to stay aligned and be intentional with my time and just be my authentic self, but self-care along the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen, if you're not able to get your business, your practice to where you want to get it, or to the vision that you have for it, or what you know is possible, what's the cost? What's the cost to you, to others, to the world?
Yeah, the cost is more people are unnecessarily suffering, and that's not okay for me. So if it takes a year, if it takes a couple years, like, I'm not gonna stop, because I know that I'm meant for this role and this is my mission. And so whatever it takes, however long it takes, because I think that cost is way too expensive in a world that has too much suffering today.
Absolutely. It's everything. The cost is huge. We aren't normal business owners. We aren't normal entrepreneurs. We aren't normal service providers.
No.
We Our work is a reflection, or that's not the right word. Our work is who we be. It's our mission. It's our purpose for being here. And it's come up a couple of times with people of the double-edged sword of finding it, which is part of what you touched on. It's amazing to have the privilege and the honor of discovering or being with or in alignment with deep and true purpose and deep and true mission. And the flip side is if and when we can't get the business side to support that or flow with that, the cost is huge. It's not just like, okay, then I'll just go try something else. It's like, there is nothing else to try. Like, what else is there if it's not this? Because this is who I be. Like, this is what I'm here to do. And so, yeah, it's really, the cost is huge.
Yeah. And I know from just, like I said, having my own personal journey, like holistic medicine saved my life. And so I want that for so many other people that I see suffering today. And I know that I went through that so that I could know firsthand what it's like and so I could help more people. So yeah.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap up today?
Yeah, my biggest message to the world is you don't have to settle for whatever pain or suffering you're going through in this moment. It doesn't have to be, it can just be a chapter in your life, and you don't have to accept your disease or diagnosis or symptom or pain for the rest of your life. There is a better way.
Cordelia, thank you so much for joining me today to have this conversation. And for those of you who are listening, if any part of this resonated, you're in the right place. Please reach out. I want to hear from you. And if you want to reach Cordelia directly, the links to her website, Instagram, and YouTube are in the show notes. Thank you again, Cordelia. And to everyone else, thank you for listening. And we'll see you for the next episode of Ren Behind the Practice.